Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee. And Bruce Lee. And that Bruce Lee. A father, an actor, a Kung Fu student. His books are defensive counter 101. His on-screen presence is, needless to say, unparalleled. The fight choreography single-handedly changed how fight scenes are meant to be done. Realistically, while most people know these things, not many know he was a badass in real life. It was not make-believe Steven Seagal movie stuff. He had to defeat the worst opponent in real life, prejudice in Hollywood. They gave Bruce nothing more than a role as a sidekick on the Green Hornet, a role he'd come to hate. But every cloud has a silver lining, as Green Hornet in China was called the Kato Show. Returning to the cinema he was raised on as a child, Bruce would build a bridge over the great oceans to America. Just before he died, with the movie Enter the Dragon, he actually made it back to American audiences without a single care of critics, and made it the long way round. That is an achievement in itself, but I bet you want to hear how he once kicked the home invader as hard as he could, sending him flying back 10 feet. Everyone who argues the point about Bruce Lee in a mixed martial arts contest like to use the opening of honestly one of his worst films, Enter the Dragon. It is groundbreaking, but to me it was never Bruce Lee. While we're on this, if you'd like Game of Death, you should be ashamed of yourself. Using Double's poorly directed narrative after his death, it is a shit stain on everything Bruce Lee stood for. On everything Bruce Lee wanted the film to be. His idea was, imagine The Raid, but better. The only way to enjoy what the Game of Death could have been is to watch the best documentary about Bruce Lee, both The Warrior's Journey and Legend. Now that is out of the way, Bruce Lee was at the time of his death very ill from fatigue from Enter the Dragon. Still working out like crazy, but I'm not going to talk about how he died. Around the start of Game of Death, Bruce Lee was a specimen of work ethic and deadly force. I'm not being dramatic, Bruce Lee was a war machine. Neglecting his speed, his power was a contender for the strongest man alive, with superhuman strength. His workout routines was something he took super duper seriously after he had a fight for the right to teach non-Chinese people his martial art. He developed from Ip Man's Kung Fu. His philosophy was no way as way, and no limitation with no limitation. And this is why he is considered the grandfather of mixed martial arts. He never felt being loyal to one martial art or tremendously good at one thing and not the other was being true to this philosophy. His dramatic choreography in films was on half of his fitness and perfect physique. It was because it took him too long to submit his opponent, he began weight training, using isometric, running 8 miles, taking his love of martial arts to a warrior-like level. Not to compete, but to be at the top form all the time. He used his philosophy to push the limits of himself both mentally and energetically to the point of having none. Mentally, he could muster enough power, and this was before he began taking weight training like a professional athlete to heart. He could knock an opponent backwards with such power and speed that the opponent he used this on at Long Beach felt like he was hit by a train, although they had a book up to his chest. And his punch came from only an inch away from his chest. It was called the 1-inch punch, and it takes meditation and training from a grandmaster to come close to achieving. So, Bruce Lee in the UFC. His kicks, his speed, what would it be like? No one can really know. And some of you MMA nuts probably think he had gotten his ass handed to him by the likes of Royce Gracie, but to actually see the devastating force that we only hear about, the man's dedication. But first of all, what would Bruce Lee think of the UFC? He'd probably criticize it as being too close to simulation than real fighting. The gloves would be something as a man who would condition his knuckles in hot ash and on punching bags. Yeah, he'd probably pass on the gloves.
Oh my goodness! It's all over! Oh my...
Hell, Bruce Lee used to fight on rooftops in bare knuckle fights with no referee or judges. Styles versus styles. My favourite Bruce Lee story has to be when he was a kid and he was not his energetic self. His mother Grace tried to finish what she was doing to check on her son, who had been staring down from the balcony for some time, not being his crazy ordinary self. Before she could see what was wrong, he shot out the door, down the stairs and out the house. She returned to her stuff, and when she was finished, Grace checked to see what all the fuss was about. What she saw would imprint in her head for a long time, as her son, who'd only sit still when he was reading a book, he was helping a blind man cross the street. Later when she asked him about it, he said he felt angry that no one would help the poor man. I know I've gone off topic, but everybody does these days. We'll never truly know if Bruce Lee was as great as his best films, or more realistically, a great fighter. He trained to be one. He'd watch backwards in a projector Muhammad Ali's fights. Sadly, at the time of this recording, Muhammad Ali has died. Bruce had deep respect for Ali. His footwork was something he'd watch in reverse to see how to move. I guess if Lee was born 30 years earlier, he would have been a kid watching Anderson Silva or training alongside the Gracie family. Who knows? Personally, I think he was undiscovered in his years with poor race relations. Hell yeah. He would have deconstructed mixed martial arts as it is seen today. Like he almost created it years ago. Probably would have been one of the greatest. Or he would have just not liked the idea of something he accidentally created. He was about philosophy, but you bet he was very competitive. The legendary Bruce Lee would have been a great UFC fighter, if he would have liked it, and if he was born before his time. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed. Hit the subscribe button, and hit the like button to support my channel, and leave a comment, it really helps me out.
Don't waste yourself.
What's your style?
My style? You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
The art of fighting without fighting? Show me some of it.
Later.